Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the star of our show, Terry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Music and Me. I'm your host, Terry, and today we're taking a trip to the heart of America. That's right, we're headed to my home state of Missouri to celebrate some of the biggest and most influential singers who got their start there. Now, when you think of Missouri, you might picture the Gateway Arch, barbecue, or maybe even Mark Twain. But did you know it's also home to an incredibly rich musical legacy? From the roots of rock and roll to modern R&B, pop, country, and hip hop, Missouri has given us artists who've changed the sound of music itself. So today, I'll be talking about 9 iconic singers, some legendary, some rising stars, all of them uniquely connected to Missouri. You'll hear about pioneers like Chuck Berry and Josephine Baker, powerhouse women like Sheryl Crow and SZA, and genre-bending artists like Chappell Roan, Taylor Momsen, and Eminem. I'll also spotlight Sara Evans and Akon, both of whom brought Missouri's voice to country and global R&B. So whether you're a longtime fan of these artists or hearing about a few for the first time, I hope this episode gives you a fresh appreciation for the incredible talent Missouri has shared with the world. So let's dive in, starting with a woman who wasn't just a singer, but a symbol of courage and change. We're going to begin with a true icon, Josephine Baker. Born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1906, Josephine wasn't just a performer, she was a trailblazer, a civil rights activist, and a global superstar at a time when Black women had very few opportunities on stage, let alone on the world stage. She grew up in poverty during a time of intense racial segregation in Missouri. And as a young girl, she danced in the streets for coins and eventually joined a vaudeville troupe. But it was when she moved to Paris in the 1920s that her life completely changed. In France, she became a sensation, known for her bold performances, her style, and her groundbreaking presence as a Black woman in European entertainment. Josephine was perhaps most famous for her banana skirt dance, which became both a symbol of her fame and a commentary on how exoticism and racism shaped how Black performers were viewed. But she didn't let that define her. She flipped the script and used her fame as a tool for activism. During World War II, she served as a spy for the French resistance, using her celebrity status to pass secret messages hidden in her sheet music and gowns, which I think is really cool. Later, she became deeply involved in the American Civil Rights Movement, refusing to perform for segregated audiences and speaking at a march on Washington alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And let's not forget, she could sing. Her voice was soft and sultry, perfect for jazz and cabaret. Songs like Jadu Amour, I Have Two Loves, beautifully captured her identity as a Black American who had found freedom and fame in France, but never lost touch with her roots. Josephine Baker may have left Missouri, but the strength and resilience she developed there never left her. In 2021, she became the first Black woman honored in France's Pantheon, a resting place for national heroes, proof that her influence still echoes far beyond music. All right, from the jazz clubs of Paris to the juke joints of St. Louis, we move now to one of the most influential figures in all of popular music, Chuck Berry. Born in 1926 in Wentzville, Missouri, Chuck Berry wasn't just a musician, he was a revolution. His sound, his lyrics, and that unforgettable swagger on stage became the blueprint for what we now call rock and roll. Berry blended rhythm and blues with country music influences, adding his signature electric guitar riffs and storytelling lyrics about teenage life, cars, school, and love. His songs felt fun and rebellious, perfect for a generation that was ready to break the mold. You've definitely heard some of his hits: Johnny Be Good, Roll Over Beethoven, Maybelline, Sweet Little 16. These weren't just catchy songs, they were foundational. Rock legends like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Elvis Presley, and even Bruce Springsteen have all credited Chuck Berry as a major influence. In fact, John Lennon once said, "If you tried to give rock and roll another name, you might call it Chuck Berry." What made Berry special wasn't just his music, it was how he commanded the stage. His famous duck walk became a symbol of rock's energy and attitude. He performed with confidence, coolness, and a touch of mischief, and that made every show electric. But like many Black artists of his era, Berry faced racism and legal troubles throughout his life, some of which were deeply rooted in the prejudices of the time. Despite the obstacles, his talent and influence couldn't be denied. He was one of the very first artists inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1986. Chuck Berry put St. Louis on the rock and roll map, and even now, his music continues to inspire guitarists and songwriters all over the world. He truly earned the title the father of rock and roll. From the rock and roll energy of Chuck Berry, let's head to the southeast corner of Missouri to a small town called Kennett, because that's where Sheryl Crow was born in 1962. She grew up surrounded by music because both her parents were musicians, and she went on to become one of the most successful singer-songwriters of the late 90s and early 2000s. Sheryl's music blends rock, pop, country, and folk, and what makes her stand out is how relatable and real her lyrics feel. Whether she's singing about heartbreak, independence, or just wanting to enjoy a sunny day, she has a gift for making you feel like she's telling your story. Her breakout came in 1993 with the album Tuesday Night Music Club, featuring hits like All I Want to Do, Strong Enough, and Leaving Las Vegas. And then came more hits, If It Makes You Happy, Soak Up the Sun, and My Favorite Mistake. Sheryl's voice is warm and a little raspy, like she's lived through the songs she's singing. She's earned 9 Grammy Awards, sold millions of albums, and collaborated with everyone from Stevie Nicks to Willie Nelson to Keith Richards. But Sheryl Crow has never forgotten where she came from. Despite her fame, she's kept that down-to-earth, small-town charm. She even returned to Missouri to raise her children on a farm away from the Hollywood spotlight. Over the years, she's also become a voice for environmental causes, cancer awareness, and music education. So not only is she an incredible artist, she's also someone who uses her platform to make a difference. From Kennett to concert stages around the world, Sheryl Crow is Missouri sunshine with a rock and roll soul. Before we head into the world of R&B, let's take a stop in Boonville, Missouri to celebrate a voice that's become a staple in modern country music, the incredible Sara Evans, who I love. Born in 1971, Sara grew up singing with her family and performing in a local band from a young age. Her love for music, especially country, ran deep. But what really sets Sara Evans apart is her clear, powerful voice and the emotional honesty she brings to every song. She first found national success with the release of Born to Fly in 2000, and that title track, it became her signature song. I was born to fly. It's the kind of anthem that made listeners sit up and say, "Who is that?" Including me. I have that album, actually. Some of her other big hits include Suds in a Bucket, which is a playful storytelling country hit about a small town girl running off to get married. Also a great song. A Real Fine Place to Start, No Place That Far, and also A Little Bit Stronger, which is a powerful ballad about healing after heartbreak. Sara's music is heartfelt and grounded, often celebrating love, family, and a strength through life's ups and downs. She's not just a country singer, she's a storyteller, and her voice brings those stories to life. She's earned multiple CMA, ACM, and Billboard awards, and she's one of the few female artists from her era to maintain a steady presence in country music over the years. And throughout it all, she remained proud of her Missouri roots, often speaking about how her upbringing shaped her music and values. Sara Evans is proof that small town beginnings can lead to big time success, all while staying true to who you are. As I said, I love Sara Evans and I do have the album Born to Fly. She was one of my favorite country artists when I was big into country in the 90s, I think. Now, let's move to some soulful R&B with one of the most exciting voices in music today, SZA. Born Solana Imani Rowe in St. Louis, Missouri, and raised in Maplewood, SZA didn't follow the typical path to stardom. She actually studied marine biology in college, and music was more of a passion project than a career goal at first. But once people heard her voice, soft, emotional, and totally unique, there was no turning back. Her debut album, Control, released in 2017, was a game changer, with songs like Love Galore, The Weekend, and Broken Clocks. SZA redefined what modern R&B could sound like. Her lyrics were raw and vulnerable about insecurity, love, mistakes, and self-worth, all wrapped in dreamy, atmospheric production. Control earned 5 Grammy nominations and became an instant classic for a whole generation. And then came her 2022 album, SOS, which took things to a whole new level, with hits like Kill Bill, Shirt, and Good Days. She topped the Billboard charts and won a Grammy for Best Pop Duo Group Performance with Doja Cat for Kiss Me More. Her success proved that she's not just a trend, she's a true voice of her generation. What makes SZA special is her honesty. She doesn't pretend to have it all figured out, and that's what makes her so relatable. Her music is like reading a diary, full of late night thoughts and real emotions. She's also proud of her roots, even though she moved to New Jersey as a kid. That St. Louis start gave her an edge, gritty, grounded, and full of soul. And speaking of rising stars from Missouri, next I'm going to talk about a bold theatrical pop singer from Willard, Missouri, who's turning heads and pushing boundaries with her unique style and powerhouse voice. But first, here's my interesting fact of the week. Welcome to my interesting fact of the week. Before we move on to our next artist, here's a fun fact that really shows how deep Missouri's musical roots go. The state actually has not one, but 2 music walks of fame. One is located in St. Louis, right in the heart of the Del Mar Loop. It celebrates some of the most influential musicians, songwriters, and performers to come out of Missouri. Everyone from Chuck Berry, who has a statue there, to jazz legends, blues greats, and rock pioneers. It's like a mini Hollywood Walk of Fame, but with a uniquely Missouri rhythm. Then, down in Branson, a city known for its live music and theater scene, there's another Walk of Fame that pays tribute to performers who've helped make Branson a major destination for country, gospel, and family entertainment. It includes stars who either got their start in Missouri or made it their home base for performing. So whether you're up north in St. Louis or down south in Branson, you'll find Missouri proudly honoring its musical legacy in stone. Literally. It's just another way this state shows how much music is a part of its heartbeat. All right, let's jump back into the music with our next incredible artist. Welcome back, everyone. Now, let's talk about a bold and colorful new voice who's making waves in the world of pop, Chappell Roan. Born Kaylee Rose Amstutz in Willard, Missouri, Chappell Roan grew up in a small, conservative town where she often felt like she didn't fit in. But instead of shrinking herself to blend in, she chose to shine brighter. And that's exactly what you hear in her music. Chappell first gained attention with her emotional ballad Good Hurt and later built momentum with her unapologetically queer anthem Pink Pony Club. Great song. Her style is dramatic, expressive, and completely her own, mixing 80s inspired synth pop with theatrical vocals and deeply personal lyrics. Her 2023 debut album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, is a celebration of self expression and finding your voice, especially when you come from a place that tells you to stay quiet. Songs like Casual, Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl, and Red Wine Supernova showcase her wit, vulnerability, and infectious energy. What makes Chappell Roan so exciting is that she isn't afraid to be bold, glamorous, and authentically weird. That's what I love about her. She's authentically weird. And I like to think I'm authentically weird in my own way. Chappell brings a kind of theatrical joy to pop that feels refreshing. It's like a mix of Lady Gaga, Robin, and her own Midwest magic. She's also become an LGBTQ plus icon, especially for young fans who see themselves in her songs and her fearless performances. And through it all, she's proud of her Missouri roots, even as she reimagines what it means to be a pop star from the heartland. Chappell Roan may be early in her career, but she's already proving that she's not just here to perform, she's here to empower. All right, now from rising star to a global hip hop icon, let's turn our attention to someone who shook the music industry with his raw, confessional lyrics and unforgettable delivery. Let's talk about one of the most influential and controversial figures in music, Eminem. Most people associate Eminem with Detroit, but he was actually born Marshall Bruce Mathers III in St. Joseph, Missouri in 1972. He moved around a lot as a kid, but Missouri is where his story begins. And like many of the artists we've talked about, his roots shaped him. Eminem rose to fame in the late 1990s with his debut album, The Slim Shady LP, which introduced the world to his outrageous, funny, and often deeply personal lyrics. He quickly followed it with massive albums like the Marshall Mathers LP, The Eminem Show, and Encore, with hits like My Name Is, Lose Yourself, Without Me, and Not Afraid. He became known for his rapid fire delivery, sharp wordplay, and emotional storytelling. Eminem didn't just break barriers, he shattered them. He was one of the first white rappers to be fully accepted into the hip hop world, and he did it with pure talent and relentless honesty. He rapped about his struggles with addiction, poverty, family, and fame, things that a lot of people related to, even if his delivery sometimes sparked controversy. He won an Oscar for Lose Yourself from the movie 8 Mile and has collected countless Grammys. Today, he's widely considered one of the greatest rappers of all time. And while most of his career is linked to Detroit, Missouri still holds a place in his origin story. A reminder that greatness can come from anywhere, even a small city like St. Joseph. Now, let's shift gears and talk about an artist whose music has transcended borders and genres, Akon. Born Alain Thiam in St. Louis, Missouri in 1973, Akon's story is one of global success and musical innovation. Though his family is originally from Senegal, West Africa, Akon's journey began right here in Missouri. He first made waves in the early 2000s with his debut album Trouble, which introduced his distinctive style, a mix of R&B, hip-hop, and pop. His hits like Locked Up, Lonely, and Smack That became instant anthems, blending catchy melodies with a unique vocal style that made Akon stand out. He quickly became known for his ability to produce massive hits and help launch the careers of other artists like T-Pain and Lady Gaga. Akon didn't just stay within the bounds of music, he's also a businessman and a philanthropist. In fact, he's working on some huge projects in Africa, including bringing solar power to rural communities through his Akon Lighting Africa initiative. He's also set his sights on building his own futuristic city in Senegal, Akon City, which he's calling the City of the Future. From St. Louis to the world, Akon's legacy is one of musical diversity and global impact. And speaking of multifaceted talents, next I have an artist who made her mark first in the world of rock and is still rocking hard today. So lastly, let's talk about someone who grew up in the spotlight and eventually embraced her inner rock star, Taylor Momsen. Born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1993, Taylor Momsen first became known as an actress. She starred as Jenny Humphrey on the hit TV show Gossip Girl. But what most people don't know is that Taylor was also a singer with a serious passion for music long before she hit the small screen. By the age of 16, Taylor formed her rock band, The Pretty Reckless, and they released their debut album, Light Me Up, in 2010, with hits like Make Me Wanna Die and Miss Nothing. The band quickly gained a following, known for their edgy, rebellious sound. Taylor's voice, powerful, raspy, and raw, was the perfect match for the band's hard rock style. Over the years, The Pretty Reckless has evolved, producing several more albums, including Going to Hell and Who You Selling For, with tracks like Heaven Knows, Take Me Down, and Back to the River. Taylor's lyrics have always been dark and introspective, often dealing with themes of love, loss, and defiance. She's not just a rock singer, she's a force in the industry, known for her fearlessness and authenticity. Her transformation from a teen actress to a full-fledged rock musician shows just how much she's embraced her Missouri roots while carving out her own identity in the world of music. Taylor Momsen is proof that rock and roll rebels can come from anywhere, even St. Louis. And there you have it. 9 incredible artists from Missouri who've made their mark on the music world, from country to rap, soul to rock, and everything in between. The Show Me State has given us a wide range of talent that continues to shape and inspire the music we love today. Thank you so much for joining me on this musical road trip through my home state of Missouri. If any of these names were new to you, I hope you'll take a few minutes to explore their songs, because you never know which ones might become a new favorite. Next week, we're shifting gears and talking about the voice that can move mountains, Josh Groban. I love Josh Groban so much. So I'll be diving into his powerful vocals, Broadway moments, and that heartfelt music that has touched fans all over the world. Until then, keep listening to the music that moves you. Peace out, everybody. This has been the Music in Me podcast. Subscribe now so you don't miss a beat.